What's up, everybody? How you doing? And welcome to another edition of Mythic Pluses and what to do about them for week 12 of Dragonflight. Now, this is season 3, week 12. First, I want to make sure hit that subscribe button on the channel. If you're looking for us, please make sure you're going to twitch.tv every single Monday through Friday. We end up streaming there daily, mostly Warcraft stuff. We also have some really cool things that are coming through the pipeline, and I want to make sure you are there. So thank you all very much for coming and seeing our channel. Now, as for what our affixes are going to be this week, it is going to be tyrannical, entangling, and bursting. As we always say and do, this is, a very interesting combination of, affixes. Now, what we would say and do about them. Now, first of all, tyrannical means bosses are going to do more health. They're going to have more health to do more damage. Entangling means you're going to have those roots that are going to form underneath your feet. You got to move away and break it, and if you don't, you get a debuff. And the last one is bursting, which means non-boss enemies explode and die, and then when they die, everyone receives damage. So, first of all, full disclosure, recorded this video on Sunday, did not like how it sounded, so I'm doing it again for everybody. I hope this is better. Now I have to make sure that microphone placement is right, move the cameras. So there's a bunch of different things going on right now. So just be aware of that. Now, so what our season 3 season 3 dungeons. I'm going to be kind of quick about it, and I apologize. It is really late on Monday. I'm exhausted, and Tristan's getting up early. So just kind of quickly going over all of the different affixes just to think about them all in general. First of all, make sure you're thinking about what bosses are going to do a lot of damage and what aren't. Galakron's Fall, you think about it. It's going to be the second and third boss are going to be doing a lot of damage. Be aware of that, what you're going to want to do about it. Entangling, always. Make sure you always have a way to get out of what you're doing. Healers are going to have enough time dealing with the bursting and the damage that is being placed on the group as a norm. So be aware of that when you're having to deal with other things there. So just kind of put that in your mind as you're going through. Now, like Morazan's Rise, you're going to have some tough bosses like Battlefield and the last boss. Be aware of that, where you're going to be, what you're going to do. Kind of put your brain in the mindset of where you're going to stand doing certain things. Once again, be aware of a couple of the areas are going to be kind of small for the entangling. Make sure you break those roots and go through. Also, make sure you're using different type of abilities to get out of it. For instance, Monk's got your Tiger's Lust, your Druid's got your Shape Shift, you got your Disengage from your Hunters, just to name a couple of things. I think your mages can blink. Things like that. So just something to think of. Waycrest Manor, you got to be careful because of shortened hallways. You got large packs groups there, so you're going to have a lot of bursting, a lot of things there to deal with. So be careful when you're pulling your mobs. Be careful of Oak and the pig boss. Those guys are going to really do a lot of damage. Even in addition to that, the 3 hags in the beginning, or the 3 witches, whatever you want to call them, they do a decent amount of damage. Make sure you're keeping, your interrupts going, your jumps as much as you possibly can. Decrease the damage for your healers. Atoll Tazar, you got to be careful of your pulls there. Some of them are larger than others, so you have to be really, really careful when you're dealing with that. So just be aware where your placement is, so on and so forth. So you're not going crazy on what you're ending up doing. So just something to think of there. All right. The last boss is going to be really difficult, so be aware of it and just think about it when you're running through. Darkheart Thicket, I hate that place, especially on Tyrannical weeks. I'm probably going to avoid it. But all in all, I'm probably going to get a key for it on every single character. So what you want to make sure you do, lots of large packs where you're going to pull them. Be careful of the bursting for there. You got to be careful. The bosses there are going to be doing a decent amount of damage. So you're going to really want to be careful of those on those bosses. And with the bursting, it's just, that place gives me so much stress and anxiety. You got to be careful of the wood boss. You got to be careful of the first boss. You got to be careful of the last boss. So be careful of those things. Be careful of the rock fall and the third boss. So all those bosses are really, really hard to deal with, but I know that you'll get through it. So just be aware of it. Um, your entangling is really not going to be that bad. You have enough movement to kind of get away from that. In a lot of certain areas, you can always go backwards. Um, Black or cold, be careful of. There's a lot of large packs in there. Bursting's going to really play into effect there. So be aware of that and be, you know, kind of thoughtful of what you're doing there. Um, be careful of your bosses. You know, your what's it called? The last boss is probably going to be your hardest one, so be careful and watch out for damage. Make sure you're using CCs and defensives and things like that throughout that whole entire fight. Everbloom has a lot of larger packs you're going to be pulling, so bursting is going to be an effect in there. Your entangling really won't be bad. You got a lot of movement of move around wherever you need to go, so I wouldn't be too worried about that. So that I wouldn't worry about so much. Your last boss is going to feel like forever. Be aware of that. Don't worry. Take a deep breath. You'll go through it. The second to last boss, the mage, that one's going to be hard because of if you hit one thing, you're going to be dead. So be careful of that. Second boss, make sure you're keeping up on your interrupts, making sure you're aware of those and kind of going through it. Once you end up doing that, you'll be in the clear and you'll be fine. And the last thing, Throne of the Tides. Throne of the Tides is going to be a lot easier than what it is during, your fortified weeks because you don't have to worry about the ads. But what you're going to have to remember is the second boss is going to be really, really hard to kill. So make sure you full clear that room and try to DPS it accordingly. Excuse me. And the last boss is really, really hard to deal with. So be careful of the last boss as you're going through, and you'll be fine. So there's a lot to kind of play with while you're going through this. So, the hallways are kind of short, so you got to be careful of entangling, especially down the last hallway where it's just the gauntlet portion. So overall, I think you'll be fine. So fingers crossed. All right. I know I went over this really quickly. Like I said, it's really late. As you can tell, I'm yawning. I'm exhausted. I wanted to make sure I got my message across properly and you could hear it and understand it. Apparently, I cannot have my microphone too far away from my mouth. I have to make sure I do that a little bit better, and that's something I'm going to keep an eye on for the future. As for everybody else, thank you so much for the love and support. Make sure you go to the merch store. That really does help us out. Make sure you're, you know, supporting the channel in whatever which way you can. With if you're going to get any of our cool tech, go to Sub2R. They have some amazing cameras, green screens, glasses, all those things. So make sure you check us out there. All right, I love you all. Thank you all. Dream big, keep gaming, and I will see you all on our channel tomorrow. All right, love you. Bye, everybody.